Hi, this is Captain Everyman. I'm here today to propose 5 writing reforms to Avengers Endgame to try to save this movie and take it from a good movie that was a bunch of moments just strung together and make it more like the masterpiece I see Infinity Wars as. So spoilers for Endgame and really all the Marvel movies. If you haven't seen them, go see them and come back and listen to what I got to say here. So the first one would be Stark and Nebula rescued by Captain Marvel. I thought that was one of the lamest things I've ever seen. We have all this drama and build up from the trailers and wondering what's going to happen. And all we get is Captain Marvel ex machina. She just wanders in and finds him out of the blue. No rhyme or reason to it and saves him. So here's the reform that I express here that I suggest would have made this a much better moment for everybody. And what I suggest is that Stark and Nebula just wander into an old space battlefield, an old battleground, and they find a bunch of damaged and derelict ships just out. And what they do is they go through them, and it would harken back to the original Iron Man movie where he takes these bits and pieces and creates that first Iron Man suit. Well, they go through, and we know Nebula's a mechanic in her own right for these spaceships. They go through and find bits and pieces, and maybe they even construct like a new ship out of all these pieces, and they totally own one behind it. And they rescue themselves by doing what Iron Man did originally. It would have been a great homage to the original movie instead of just having Captain Marvel show up and rescue him. Number 2, Thor becomes the obese alcoholic and sort of a shipwreck. So I didn't like that part of the movie. So this is the reform I would suggest. Instead of Thor becoming sort of like post-traumatic stress disorder in that direction where he kind of becomes this kind of loser, I would have made him obsessed with defending Asgard. So now he's more jacked than he ever was. He's working out every day. He's like building new weapons. He's training everybody like it's a military base there. And people think he's lost his mind. And people remind him that, hey, you chopped Thanos' head off. Why can't we relax now? But we also harken back to Age of Ultron, where he had the vision. He was the first one who really had that feeling that, boy, something was going on here, and he was going to investigate and find out what was going on, that there was some kind of major plot in the cosmos that was afoot, and he wanted to get to the root of it. So we get back to that. He's still kind of the spiritual leader of really the Avengers. We're going to harken back to that in this movie as well. We're not going to change the character around like they did. He's going to be having sort of like nightmares of Thanos returning. It's going to haunt him. And of course, that'll lead us right into what actually happens in the movie. So that's how I would have changed Thor. He would have become even more of this jacked up, powerful looking guy. He would have been obsessed with defending Asgard and had this being haunted by the memory of Thanos. And somehow, as crazy as it would have seemed to everybody, he has this premonition that they're not done with him yet, even though he's killed him. Now I'm going to get back to one of the things I really hated in this movie, and that was the rat. This rat that brings Ant-Man out, I hated that. I guess that was Rat-Man helping Ant-Man, right? No, I wouldn't have done that. And here's the writing reform I would propose there. You know that Bill Foster and Ghost were really waiting for them to bring back these healing particles so Ghost could be treated. So when the snap takes place, I would have it so that Ghost gets snapped away, but Bill Foster's still there. He's devastated. There's all the aftermath of everything that happens. So he really doesn't make it a priority to check in to see what even happened to them. But then, like, as time has passed, he sees sort of the PIM technology as something that could really help the people in the post-decimation era. So he tries to track down a lot of Hank Pym's technology and stuff so he can start sort of building on that legacy that he's a part of. So he tracks down the van. And when he's trying to make it operational, he actually releases Ant-Man, and that is a more logical way for that to happen. Instead of having a rat crawl across the control panel and have him pop out like that, I think that would have been much better. The next reform, Captain America goes back in time and doesn't return. Instead, they find him as an old man of bitch. I hated that. First of all, they already established that time travel can't work that way. So that was like a total like bizarre like thing that they should never have done. And why they did it, I don't know. It was crazy. So here's the reform I propose for Captain America. If he wants to retire, that's fine. But what you have him do is go back to put the stones back. Then he actually brings Agent Carter to 2023. And he says that after all this, he's ready to retire. Then he passes the shield off to Bucky or Falcon. But we let him bring back Agent Carter instead of him going back and staying, because then they don't violate their time principles that they've already stated earlier in the movie. And that's a much better way to have it work. My last reform that I'm suggesting has to do with the ending, which I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that they killed Tony Stark. I thought it was unnecessary. I didn't think it made sense. I thought they already had a somber ending to the first movie, and they shouldn't have had a somber ending in the second. They should have sent us off with a little bit of a feel-good where Thanos is defeated, and we let the heroes sort of celebrate that together, and I thought they cheated the audience out of that. So the reform to the writing that I suggest is this. And we've seen this already, and I thought it was kind of weird that, it just kind of hangs in the air. If you remember the original Doctor Strange movie where he uses a time stone to like rewind the apple and eat it again, and you remember, and I know people, I'm not the only one who thought of this, that Scarlet Witch actually killed Vision, but then Thanos used the time stone to bring him back. So what would I propose here? The obvious. Doctor Strange is there. The time stone is back again because it's in the gauntlet. Doctor Strange comes over. He takes the gauntlet off of Tony's hand. And just like Vision was revived, he takes the time stone and he restores Tony Stark. Then he makes a comment to him like, I told you this was the only way or something, I mean, he gets a moment there because he's actually taken Stark away from being killed by Thanos, and then he's able to rescue him too, so that so that we have that kind of ending where the rescue is complete, where he doesn't rescue him in Infinity Wars only to be killed in Endgame. Doctor Strange is able to rescue Stark completely. Now I know that I think I've heard that they're already trying to blow the writers are already trying to blow back against this, but they can't do that because they've already done it. They've already established the fact that Time Stone has this power. So for this not to work doesn't make any sense, and for Doctor Strange not to use it doesn't make any sense. They kind of muted a lot of these characters in different ways anyway. So that would be the perfect ending to complete that arc where Strange saves him in Infinity Wars and restores him here in Endgame. So I want to give you a little bonus too. I didn't like the way time travel was used here, and I want to say thank you for viewing this. Like, subscribe, and share, please. But if you're looking for a movie where time travel is done right, this is kind of a sleeper, but I enjoyed the way they ended this movie especially. And this is a movie that came out quite some time ago, Time Cop 2. I think it was a direct-to-video. But I love time travel movies. I'm like a lot of these people are like, well, when I heard it was time travel, I just didn't want to see it or whatever. But you don't have to be sloppy with time travel. And you can have really creative, imaginative endings. And this movie has an ending that I really enjoyed. So thanks, and let's get some discussion going about these. Like, subscribe, and share. And I'm looking forward to your comments.